Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Just to say what I was looking forward to this morning to being a happy broadcast, because we've had some good news. This morning we've had like a double whammy of bad news at the moment. First of all, the hen round here that you can see at the moment, she was with her little chicks for the last few days, being a really good mum, looking after them and everything. And then this morning when Jane came out to basically get the cats in for feeding, all her little chicks were dying, literally dying. The reason we think that they probably may have passed is and probably anybody out there who's watching in might be able to give some advice. As you can see, we have a lot of long grass. The grass at night has been coming very, very wet. And we think that maybe the little chicks then succumbed to the cold of the wet grass. And then obviously as the sun was coming up and getting hotter, obviously their little systems weren't able to cope. And unfortunately, they all passed, the little darlings. So what we've done is we've just picked all the bodies up, laid them side by side. Jane was very upset because obviously they were actually dying and there's nothing we could do to try and get them to revive, i.e. trying to wrap them and try and get them warm or anything else like that. And the mother was very good. She actually let us touch them and try and do something. But unfortunately, all the little fellas all passed, unfortunately. But I think that's part of when you live in an area like this. You're very much at the hands of what nature will do. We've left the little bodies here just basically so that the landlord can just take a look at them. He knows more about chickens than what we do, and obviously he can obviously understand what's gone on and maybe make some other provision for them if need be. But anyway, yeah, it is sad. The weather today then, it's misty at the moment. The sun is up. There's been a lot going on within the last 24 hours, and I'm very eager to share the news with you today. Just to let you know, morning, we've had a death last night as well. A 65-year-old man passed away through coronavirus. I'll go into more details on that when I start doing the stats. But again, obviously, this is what I mean by it's a kind of a we should have been giving happy news as well about what's going on, but unfortunately it's also been tinged with sadness as well. Obviously the family of the 65-year-old is obviously of a main concern at the moment, but we'll come on to that as we go through the news. Anyway, so today, 22nd of April, it's Wednesday. It's 167 days of our lockdown, and the end of the lockdown is in sight at the moment. COVID in the last 24 hours, it has abated a little bit across the country. Infections yesterday, if you remember, were 3,789. Well, today I can report that new infections, 3,015 were reported across the country. That brings the total amount to 323,639. New cases into the country, they were up slightly from 7 up to 14. And according to the national stats yesterday, there were 2 cases in Macardo, there were no cases in Kefalonia, there were 6 new cases in Corfu, and Zakynthos registered 9 cases. However, checking the local figures, there's been no reports of any new infections locally through the local media here. The main story, as I've already said, is that the fact that a 65-year-old citizen has passed away. I think it's a 65-year-old man. The unfortunate man had been in incubation, being treated for the last few days, and unfortunately then passed away. He did have underlying health conditions which were exacerbated by the coronavirus. Now, finally, they also said in the report that there were 4 other citizens in the COVID clinic as well, who were being ventilated. So yesterday we had 4, so this gentleman passing away would technically mean there would be 3, but maybe there's somebody else who's now taken an intensive care bed, but that has not been substantiated at the moment in the local media, and I will keep a lookout on that story. So at the moment, what I've decided to do, I have not annotated the stats at the moment for infection rate because I've seen no figures reported locally of those extra 9 cases, so therefore I've not amended our overall rate. But anyway, at the moment, we stand at 508 positive cases since the beginning of the year. And this month alone, we've had 145 cases. And again, if I get any more reports of cases here reported locally rather than nationally, I will annotate those figures. Anyway, as we said, as it comes to deaths, deaths were down across the country. From 87 down to 86 new deaths reported. Of course, one of those deaths is now the 65-year-old gentleman here from Zakynthos. And once again, our condolences to his family for their loss at this time. That brings the total death toll up to 9,713. Again, the average age of those people passing away was 79 years of age, and 96.4% of those people had underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. So once again, our condolences to the family. That brings the death toll here in Zakynthos now to 8 deaths. And this means that in the month of April, we've had 2 deaths, an 88-year-old woman, and obviously the 65-year-old gentleman. And last month we had 2 deaths, a 74-year-old woman, an 80-year-old woman as well. And then in February, our first death of the year was a 70-year-old woman. And again, all of them had underlying health conditions and were over the age of 70. So once again, our condolences again to the family. Now, at the moment, when it comes to critical cases at the moment, they are actually down at the moment, which is a good sign. There was 847 people reported in critical cases and incubated across the country. That is now down to 831. 516 of those are male and 315 of those are female. And as I've said before, the thing that we're not told, and it doesn't appear, is that when the rate of incubations drop down, is that related to a death or is that related to a recovery? At the moment, we're not being given those kind of information, but it's something that you would think that they should do as well. Anyway, let's go on to today's news then. This is why I was looking forward to doing the news this morning, because again, it's happening. It looks like the roadmap of getting out of lockdown is on the way. I love the way that Mitsotakis seems to be following more or less the same rhetoric as Boris Johnson, even calling things the same way. So the Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis confirmed yesterday his roadmap out of lockdown and how Easter will be conducted. Now, what I've done is I've taken the bullet points of this and I've put some detail in on each thing. He's basically running a 3-step phase for getting the country back up and running, back up and open, and also for how he's going to handle Easter. So basically, bear with me and I hopefully will make things a lot clearer than maybe some of the reporting has been as to how this period is going to go on. Now, first of all, the first thing that has been confirmed is that interregional travel will not be allowed over the Easter period. However, a few people will be allowed to travel between regions during the Easter lockdown, during the Easter period, but they are only the following people. One, it's workers, people who have to drive for work, all right? The other is for health reasons. So if you have an appointment with a clinic or something in Athens or in Patra or Thessaloniki or somewhere like that, you are allowed to move under those reasons. The other reason you're allowed to move over the Easter period is to attend a funeral as well. Also as well, divorced or separated parents who have custody of children through the courts, they are allowed to move, but they must present the appropriate documentation to any police check or whatever on their journey. So that's the first thing, that interregional travel for the majority of people will not be allowed over the Easter period. Now, the other great bit of news is this, is that restaurants with outside seating will be allowed and reopen on May the 3rd, which is basically Easter Monday. All right. However, when they do open, there will be restrictions, which will include having outside tables only, as well as limiting people to the number of people who can sit at a single table. So at least the bars and restaurants can now open on the Easter Monday, and as long as they serve you outside, then obviously that is an absolute godsend. You wouldn't believe how many people are now really happy about that. Now, the other interesting thing at the moment is the nighttime curfew is going to be eased, and that will then start at 11 o'clock at night, and that will run on till 5 o'clock in the morning. All right. Now, that is step one of the opening up of the country, basically over the Easter period. Now, step two is that on May the 10th, high schools, primary schools will also open. And within that, what will happen then is that there will be an extension of the academic year, which is expected to make up lost ground. Now, they're still to announce how they're going to tackle that, and also a time frame of the extension at the moment. And there is a meeting today to confirm more clarity on that. But also what's expected is that children will not be expected to take end of term exams. So children in secondary education, when they do their end of year, they normally do exams before they go up to the next year. They're not going to be actually taking any exams, which is probably good for the kids, because I think a lot of them have missed out on so much. It would obviously cause problems. Also as well, one thing that has been sorted is that university entrance exams are going to start on the 14th or 15th of June. So therefore, those kids who are in like the upper sixth looking to go into university education, you will be taking your entrance exams for the universities that you choose between June the 14th or June the 15th. And again, there's more information on that to come through as well. Now, on to step three. On Saturday, May the 15th, tourism to Greece will reopen, but only tourists who have been fully vaccinated or have a current negative COVID-19 test are allowed to come to Greece, which is, again, fantastic news. However, you lot from Britain are still not allowed to come. So it's any other nation other than the Brits at the moment, because once again, you've got the fear of a €5,000 fine hanging over your heads if you decide to try and leave the country and come on holiday. But at least Greece, we are open and we'll be ready for business on May the 15th. You're just going to have to wait until Boris basically says that you can go, all right? Now, and also as well, as part of that third phase, from May the 15th, for people living in Greece, all right, you will then be allowed to travel across the municipalities of the country from May the 15th. So at the moment, we are still basically locked down on our islands. We can't go to Patra, or we can't go to Athens, or we can't go to the mainland unless for specific reasons like medical, and as I've already explained. But as from May the 15th, we will then be allowed to travel across the country if you want to, and so we have our freedom back as well. So again, that's good news for us because it shows us the way ahead. All right. Now, interestingly, yesterday, information was posted about the Dutch tourists who visited Rhodes last week as part of a government-backed experiment to see if tourism is feasible during a pandemic. And uniformly, from what's been said, it's given good impressions of the all-inclusive holiday. And this pilot scheme is being looked at with great interest. I'm going to just go through how the pilot scheme operated, because I do see certain flaws in it. which I think some people are going to say, nice idea. However, it still needed to be thought through. Anyway, first of all, the pilot holiday scheme, which was called Safe Corridor, was organised by a Dutch tour operator called Sunweb and an Air France group of Transylvania Airlines with the approval of the Greek and Dutch governments. Anyway, a group of 188 holidaymakers were selected from over 250,000 people in the Netherlands actually put a bid in to be able to go on this holiday. Anyway, all of those that were selected all paid for their holiday. So they got used to paying for a holiday. It was done for free. And they were paid 399 euros per person is what they had to pay. And they stayed on an 8-day all-inclusive vacation at the 5-star Mitsis Grand Hotel in Rhodes, which I don't know it. If anybody knows it, has stayed there. Anyway, strict health and safety protocols were followed during the holiday with the Safe Corridor vaccination trial, which its purpose was to collect data on the people staying in the hotel and on the staff, and basically try and coordinate a responsible, safe travelling holiday during a pandemic. Therefore, there were extremely specific detailed hygiene protocols that had to be followed, both by the travellers and from the staff as well, from the beginning right through to the end. Now, the Dutch holidaymakers took both a PCR test and a rapid test at 72 hours and at 4 hours respectively before their inbound and outboard flights. So in other words, they tested before they came on the holiday, and they obviously tested on their outward bound flights to see if there was any change in their conditions. Anyway, during their stay on the island, they were not allowed to leave the hotel premises. And the same rule also applied to the hotel staff, which again, I think this is another kind of strange thing that I think for them to do this is the fact that the staff had to live in the hotel along with the guests. Now, that immediately put into my head was this was like working again on a cruise ship. On a cruise ship, you've got staff who deal with the guests, you've got staff behind the scenes, but everybody is in the same vessel. But depending on your rank on the vessel, depends where you stay out of sight when you're not required to work. And I just have a feeling that a hotel is not like a cruise ship where there's two kind of communities running hand in hand at the same time, out of sight of each other. All right, basically the staff and the guest, and somehow trying to keep staff in a hotel through the whole of the summer where they're not allowed to leave. The temptation will be to leave, to go see family, and also to finish your shift and go home at night rather than hanging around the hotel somewhere out of sight of the guests if you're not allowed to mix with the guests as part of the protocol. To me, it just seemed a little bit, if you're going to run it as a proper holiday. People should have been allowed to come and go as they please. People should have been allowed, the staff should be allowed to come and go, because again, how can you keep staff banged up in the hotel for whatever your season is going to be? Technically, it could have been 6 months. At the moment, it probably looks like it's going to be about 5 months, and not be allowed to leave the building, to go out. Again, just to me, it was kind of a little bit too much of a cotton wool ball thing around everybody, and not letting the reality of a holiday. This is why I'd rather have seen 2 of these experiments run. One with people not allowed to leave, obviously staff not allowed to leave, and one with the staff allowed to leave at night and the guests allowed to go out and explore, and done a comparison between the two. However, after 5 days of this holiday, they all then return to the Netherlands. The guests will obviously undergo new PCR tests once they get back to Holland, once they've done a little period of time there, just to see if anything lingered, as it were.
Stavros Mitsis, who's the managing director of the Mitsis Hotel, stated that the successful outcome of the project contributes to the promotion of Greece as a safe holiday destination and marks a smooth start of the tourism season and the gradual return to normality. Anyway, the feedback of all of our guests is very positive, and despite the restrictions which were known in advance, the director of tour operations of Sunweb, Renut Kut, added in the statement, everyone enjoyed a wonderful vacation. The security protocols, they said, established by the Sunweb Group and the Dutch government were strictly implemented by the hotel, while the Dutch holidaymakers are now on their way back home. Greece's pilot lifting of its quarantine requirement began on Monday, April the 19th. So basically, yeah, it's positive from that point of view, but I still feel that it's not the reality of running an actual business, running a hotel where your staff are locked in with your guests and your guests are not allowed to leave. And it'll be interesting to see what will become of this test. I can understand it being run to kind of give confidence that we are, but we always have been a safe destination, and this is just it. We're not banging the drum as to how safe we are. When you look at our infection rate, when you look at our death rate in comparison to a lot of other countries, Greece is still a very safe place to come for a holiday. So anyway, that's how the experiment went over there in Rhodes, and we will wait and see as to what will happen basically in that selection. Right, a very interesting story has come up on the local press here. Basically, the stealing of a very expensive boat has got the police here kind of pondering. Anyway, it seems that thieves targeted a luxury boat on Zakynthos, which they tried to steal not only once in a week, but twice, and they kind of half stole it. Basically, this boat belongs to a Belgian national who's got assets here in Zakynthos, and the boat was finally found in Kalini. Anyway, the case is now being investigated by the police. It is causing a bit of raised eyebrows and a few questions at the moment as to the lengths that these people have gone to try and steal the vessel, and then basically had to abandon it and then re-steal it. Basically what happened was the vessel was initially in the area of Ali Kanaz. It had been put in there. The thieves had stolen it from Ali Kanaz, and in the process of transporting the vessel, it came off its trailer, basically, and sort of landed in the middle of the road as it was being moved. Also, the vehicle that was being used to tow the vehicle, tow the boat, that also was stolen as well. So the thieves just basically ran off and left it. Two people that were responsible for the boat were obviously contacted by the police and told, we found your boat, it's in the middle of the road, you need to move it. So they organised to move it, and they organised to move it to Amber Lockerbie and put it in a secure compound in Amber Lockerbie. Well, within hours of that vessel going into a secure compound in Amber Lockerbie, the thieves struck again and they stole the boat back. This time, not only did they steal it, but they also then got in touch with a local haulage company who innocently, according to the report at the moment, were asked to transport the vessel over to the mainland. So they took this 10-metre yacht, stuck it into a container, put it on the back of a low loader. The vehicle would then drove obviously onto the ferry, drove across to Kalini, and obviously the police at this time had been alerted that the vessel had gone a second time, and they got in touch with the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard obviously were on the port in Kalini just checking vehicles coming off the island to see if maybe somebody's bringing a boat off the island. Lo and behold, in a spot check, they pulled the driver over of the actual of the truck with the boat on board, stopped him, and obviously the boat was then recovered. So at the moment, the investigation is still ongoing. No arrests have been made at the moment. The police say that they've got CCTV footage of people actually taking the vessel and that from the compounds where they were. And the investigation carries on. So again, that should be interesting to see how that all works out. And finally, I've got another. Oh yes, I've got another great. I've got two and finally stories this morning. The first one is this. TripAdvisor. Yes, the old double-edged sword of TripAdvisor. They have put out a poll yesterday that they've been carrying out with their members as to the with Britain as to whether they intend to travel actually this summer. And from their poll that they have done, guess who comes out as the top destination in Greece to come and visit on their holiday? Although we are third placed in their poll of the top 10, number one is, believe it or not, Devon is number one, and Torquay. Number two is Windermere, I think that. No, so Woodmere and York. I really don't know anything about those. Jean probably does. But the place coming out in third place, believe it or not, is Zakynthos, and more specifically, it is Silovy. Yes, Silovy is, shall we say, the number one Greek destination for TripAdvisor subscribers, British TripAdvisor subscribers, to come on a holiday. They said that they've had a 320% interest rate of people saying, we want to get away, and if we want to go anywhere, we'll go to this place in York, we'll go to Torquay down in Devon, but the number one place in Greece is Silovy and Zakynthos, and I think that is an absolutely brilliant positive. So hopefully we'll see some of this 320% increase of people that are looking forward to coming here in their holiday. Now, my other and finally story, which I'd actually put together last night, is a little bit of a funny story, I think, but a serious edge to it. We're always on about corruption here in Greece, how bad corruption here is in Greece. However, let's look to our neighbours across the water, to Italy. I saw a really funny story yesterday, which really made me smile, about a hospital employee in Italy who's been accused of skipping work. Now, everybody skips work from time to time. However, this guy skipped work for 15 years and was still getting paid. Yeah, that's right. Local reports said that the man who allegedly was working, technically, at the Zakynthos Hospital in Pugella, and he was there, he'd disappeared from work in 2005, and just basically just stopped turning up. Now, the point was he was still being paid, and there is now an investigation going on for fraud and extortion, and abuse of office as well is another charge that the Italian police are laying on this man. Now, this man, get this, right? This man was paid basically 538,000 euros over that 15-year period. Jane and I, we sat down, we worked out how much that was. That's about 36,000 euros a year, all right? He was still being paid, even though he was not actually working in the hospital. Now, 6 managers at the hospital are also being investigated in connection with the alleged absenteeism. The arrests are the result of a lengthy police investigation into absenteeism and the subsequent fraud within the Italian public sector. Anyway, the employee was a civil servant, and he was assigned to a job in the hospital in 2005, and it was at this point that he just stopped going to work, the police said. Anyway, the police had also accused him of threatening his manager to stop her from firing him or filing a disciplinary report against him. The manager later retired, the police added, and his ongoing absence was never noticed by her successor or by the Human Resources Department. So there you go. Where we would say, oh, that could only happen in Greece, it's just nice to say, well, it goes on in Italy. But there you go. Imagine not going to work for 15 years. There's a lot of people here who probably say it's been bad enough not being able to go to work for the last nearly 2 years. However, we will be glad to get back at some point and get, well, at least when he was skipping work, he could still go to the local tavernas. He could go for a glass of wine somewhere. He could sit in a cafe somewhere, knowing that the money's still going in the bank from a hard day's doing nothing. Whereas again, now people are hoping that they will go back to work. They will get a life back. Anyway, that's a little bit of a nice bit of jolly, happy news in some respects. Not for the Italian taxpayer, but anyway. Let's have a look who's tuning in at the moment. Steve Hinklin is watching. Lovely to have you tuning in, fella. Nice to see you. He also says, Galimera. Wiggy Winstanley, who phoned me earlier on today. Lovely to have you tuning in, fella. And also, thank you for what you're doing for us. We really appreciate that. Really, really nice. And fellow love to a brother rock. Absolutely fantastic. Sam Smith also as well tuning in at the moment. Not the singer, by the way. Okay. Rob Davis is tuning in as well. BJ Neal is also tuning in. Nice to see you there, BJ. Marianne Hallberg from Sweden is tuning in as well. How warm is it there today? We're looking forward to when the Scandinavians arrive at some point. Tim Crystal says, morning, buddy. Denise Trinsdale is also watching. Rita Patchell is watching. Lyndon is watching as well. Lovely pictures of you walking the dog yesterday, Lyndon, around where you live. It looked absolutely beautiful, fella. Larry Smith is watching as well. Mark Stewart is watching too. Wiggy Winstanley says, morning from the office of the Ambassador of Wigan for Cyprus and the Middle East now. Oh, you've been promoted. Oh, he's been promoted. And he's also of the Northern Soul Club of the Wigan Casino. Keep the faith. I certainly am. And don't forget this Sunday, my show going out. The Soul Cream van is on the road, delivering its cargo of the best soul music from coast to coast. That's on Sunday on beatsradio.co.uk. And last week's show is up online and you can catch up on that. Just go to my Facebook page or to Mixcloud and you'll find the links there. Anyway, Julie Stevens is tuning in as well. Lovely to see you. Jane Baster is also tuning in as well. Jean Lillis is watching too. Rachel Hanson is watching. Charlie, Christine Brown is watching also. Andy Owen is watching. Nice to have you looking in, Andy. Raffridge buddy. Chick Ballantyne, another Raffridge buddy looking in. Lisa Saunders. Andy Owen says, good morning, Ginge. Have a good one. I will. It's a busy day for us today, Jane and I. Wendy Norcliffe is watching as well. Tim Crystal says 17th of May. Hopefully it will change. And hopefully it will change on the 17th of May. I saw Dennis yesterday. Me and Dennis got together for a little chat about the forthcoming season. And yeah, we are still waiting for the word to go. A lot of work's been done at Magdalena's in redecoration and in basically redoing the roof and also doing the rooms as well. So we're still busy labouring away, getting ready for the start of the season. And hopefully we need the Brits to come. The Dutch are more or less in the bag, which is good from that perspective. But Boris, pull your finger out. Get the Brits back abroad. TripAdvisor's telling you they're going to be going down to the southwest, all right? They're going to be going to York, so that's the north and the south sorted. We just need them to come out of the country to fulfil their promise that Silovy is the #1 place in Greece, that all of their people that took their survey, which was a 328% increase in interest. That's a lot of people, and that could be a lot of potential customers here for us in Greece, as well as in Silovy as well. So come on, Boris, get your finger out. Let's get a decision made. Let's stop burbling and listen to Witless and Whitty and Hancock and that lot, and let's get people back out to work and get them back abroad as well. Amanda Gregory is watching. Where's your weather forecast, Amanda? Oh, here it is. She says, good morning, Ginge. Cloudy with possible showers later today. Oh, that's interesting. I'm looking at the sky now and it looks lovely. However, it's high degrees of 18, will feel like 23. Have a good day. Thank you for that, Amanda. Appreciate that. Christine Brown says, morning, sunshine in Nottingham. Sam Curtis is tuning in from Brighton. Nice to have you looking in, Sam. I'm glad you enjoyed yesterday's show as well. Yesterday's show was I really enjoyed yesterday's broadcast yesterday. It's up online as audio. You can listen to it. Now, a little tip. If you go onto Twitter and you find my Twitter feed, you'll see the show is uploaded on Twitter, and for some reason they don't censor it, they don't neuter it. It is there for you to obviously watch the show as well as hear the music. So go and check my Twitter. Come and follow me on Twitter as well. It's a great way to receive the show. It doesn't get taken down as the broadcast is going on for copyright, as the same with Facebook. All right, it stays as a good solid feed all the way through, and again it stays saved there for you to watch it back whenever you want to. So go check out Twitter, just look for DJ Ginge, you'll find me on Twitter. And again, if you want to ever pass me a message via Twitter, by all means do that as well. Ian Booth, nice having you tuning in as well, Boothy. A lot of people asking after you yesterday during the show. Sam Curtis says, hi Ginge, lovely day here in Brighton. It's about 14 degrees. Great show yesterday. Thanks for the playing Power Themes 90. Have a great day. Yes, if you like Thunderbirds and you like Jerry Anderson and you like The Prisoner and The Saint and the Avengers, Power Themes 90, fantastic album. I don't think you can get it now. It's really difficult to get hold of. But basically, I was playing tracks from that yesterday, much to the delight of Sam. Anyway, Julie Meldrum is watching. Teresa Ann Huggett is watching. Christine Plant is watching. Heather Nash is watching. Will Bland is watching. Heather says, morning to you and Jane from a sunny Birmingham. Loved your show yesterday. Thank you very much for that. You were listening to it on the bus. I'm not sure whether you're listening to it via Facebook or whether you're listening to it on Twitter, but cheers for that, my lovely. Debbie Wolfenstone is watching. Heather Nash says, the prices will probably increase for staying in Sillaby now. Listen, I don't think the prices are going to go up. They're going to want people here. They know you're going to have to pay. That's the other thing, Boris. Get the testing price down, all right, for coming on holiday. There is a petition online about PCR tests being used, which are cheaper. Please sign that petition so that holiday companies and airlines are allowed to use them. For some reason, they're not allowing those tests or the rapid tests to be used. They wanted the other one. But anyway, there's a petition online. It's on my Facebook page. Go and sign it. And let's try and get the government to change their mind about which test they want for international travel. Anyway, Mark Pumphrey is watching. Big Al Thompson is watching. Natalie Blunt is watching. Steve Hinkling says, I wonder if work would notice if I stay in Zakynthos once I get there for 15 years. That's a good point, Steve. I think the answer to that is no. And the reason why, you're so indispensable, mate. You're so needed that if you were to disappear, they'd say, where's he gone? And they'd come looking for you, mate. So there you go. You need to resign first, all right? There you go. Gary Crowder is also tuning in as well. Nice to see you. Amanda Gregory says, just think of all the holidays he lost. He has, so yeah, just think of all the holidays he has banked. Yeah, he's obviously talking about the Italian. There you go. Yeah, I wonder if he came to Zakynthos. It wouldn't surprise me. We get a lot of Italians here in the summer. Rosewood is watching as well. Danielle Rogers, lovely Danielle, says, morning Ginge, morning Danielle, lovely to have you tuning in. She's our Lady Gaga and Amy Winehouse tribute and Pretty Girls Entertainment. Well, hopefully you'll be back strutting your stuff with us in the summer, no problems as well. Anyway, Rachel Harrison is also tuning in. Raina Pete Dillon over there in Cyprus is looking in as well. Lovely to see you. Sharon Baker is looking. Ian Booth says, still waiting for my... Are you still having your operation? I thought you were having it. Anyway, best of luck with your operation, old Boothie, and hopefully you'll make a speedy recovery, and hopefully we might see you, if not here this year, but definitely next year. Anyway, look forward to it. Anyway, Margaret Miller is watching. Barbara Telfer is watching. Danielle Rogers says, I can't wait to get started, and this is where I'm going to finish because I'm going to be rambling on here for hours from the looks of it. But anyway, so once again, it's all a positive. The Prime Minister Mitsotakis has got his roadmap out and he's showing us the way out. And the main thing for us is, for me personally, at least from the 3rd of May, guess what? The bars and the restaurants will be open, even if it's for outside service. The stecky little taverna down the road from us, less than 20 metres, I will be taking a night off on that Monday, which is normally a fasting night, and hopefully getting in and having a lovely meal made by somebody else, no washing up. Jane and I can sit and drink copious amounts of wine before staggering back the 20 odd metres to our home after having our first meal out in, guess what, since November at least, maybe even towards the end of October. But yeah, we shall relish that, and I might even do a quick broadcast of that as well, of us enjoying our meal. We better go book a table. I think we better go see her, tap on the window and say, hey, 3rd of May, put us down, put us down. And again, it's outdoors, they've got outdoor seating, so we will go out and enjoy that. It'll probably be rammed in there, and again, it'll put people in a good mood as well, getting ready for hopefully the season starting, and obviously some normality coming back to life. Right, that's it from me. I will keep my ear to the ground and I will see what goes on. And once again, you have a great day, you stay safe, and if you've got any little bits you want to pass my way, by all means do so. Any information, any little stories, anything I should be aware about, I'd greatly appreciate that as well. Anyway, big shout out to Aaron. Thank you for your kind comments on the show yesterday, Bella. Really appreciated that. Also, Sharon Barker, nice to have you tuning in as well, my darling. I'll catch you later. Ta-ra.